It's really good. I have a special caller here who's calling in. It is Shannon Q calling from God knows where, Canada. Hey, Shannon, what's going on?
Narnia.
Hey, Shannon, how's it going?
I don't think I don't think they put maps don't write where you live. Like it's just it's not a thing yet to most cartographers. I think it's
That's
unknown.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, they're still working
off
off
an imaginary place in an imaginary time zone that no one understands.
Yeah, they might as well be working off of the maps of Magellan when it comes to where you're at. I think so. Anyway, Shannon Q, previous co-host of the show and host of the Shannon Q channel. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. She's pretty awesome. Shannon, what's going on? Oh, Shannon, hello. Are you there? Shannon, no, please
come. Hear me?
Oh, there she goes.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Narnia is having some internet trouble, I guess. But
I'm on my cell phone. I'm used to sitting at a computer in front of a computer, so this is odd for me. I'm on my cell phone with a headset in, so I'm sorry if my sound quality is not great. You can hear me okay now?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. Just fine.
Good, yeah.
Awesome. One, I'm so psyched Andey's here. I love Andey. I'm pumped. He's like the best. You're
Isn't
okay
he?
too, Dan.
I
guess.
love you,
Whatever, but
I'll take it.
I love Andey. I think Andey's awesome. But I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions. Well, I'll ask one. I won't monopolize. One, I was freaking out when she was talking about visual processing. I was like trying to yell through the phone. I was like, oh, I love visual processing. Visual processing is really, really fascinating, but I wasn't there to answer, so that's really not my place to go into it. But I wanted to talk to you guys about your perspectives on community building and, positive activism and what you think would be a good trajectory for, us as a community of communicators. And one of the reasons I love this show is because you meet people where they are. And I think that that's an important step in, understanding people's perspective. And I know both of you, Andey works pretty heavily in people who are cult indoctrinated. So I think that you guys might have different perspectives on approach. So I'm interested to hear where you guys are similar and where you might differ.
That's a really great question, Shannon. I want to let Andey go ahead and give his answer first.
Yeah, so from my point of view, in terms of, as you say, they're talking about people who have been indoctrinated. I think if we're talking about the prospect of building a community of like-minded people who have come from different places, and for instance, talking about atheism and skeptic community and things like that, when we're talking about people who have been indoctrinated or have come from a cult situation, it can be hard, and I'm kind of speaking from personal experience here, it can be hard to join in with even with a dialogue like this. It's difficult to know what to say and to have that sense of I guess identity, especially when we're talking about people who have been in had a cult identity situation happen where they've lost themselves and they've had to try and figure out who they are again after it. So I would say that if we're talking about building communities of people, the important thing of a community is that everyone is listened to, everyone is heard, I think non-threatening communication we talked about a bit, didn't we, Shannon, when we talked together on your channel, and that I think is so important, to be able to have conversations in a way that we're not shouting people down. We're not making people feel like their point of view doesn't matter. We're not throwing concrete walls at people. So I think we need to understand how people are approaching something, why they're using the words they're using, why they're perhaps stuck or particularly attached to certain ideas, and why they're open to others, and so on and so forth. I think really it's about understanding each person and where they're coming from. And I think that if we want to build connections with people, it's got to be on that basis, on a human level, if that makes sense. Meeting people at the level that we all exist on before we start adding, I am this person, I'm that person, I'm from here, I'm from there, I believe this, I believe that. I think that's the most important thing. And then naturally groups will form. Yeah.
So I'm going to give, maybe this is a hot take, maybe not. When I first joined the atheist community a few years ago, I would say the atheist community was not exactly a welcoming place. And I would say there's still some issues there that still need to be worked out. Here's what I mean by that, okay? I was lucky because I got to drive 2 hours every weekend from Waco to Austin, Texas, where I could hang out at the Atheist Community of Austin. and hang out with the people here. Okay, that's lucky because most people don't have that. Their first experience with atheism, or a lot of them, is they're seeing something online and, oh, let's go to like r/atheism on Reddit. Okay. If you're a Christian and you're going to r/atheism, nothing there is welcoming for you. Okay. And that's not to say that, I'm not saying that's what r/atheism is supposed to be. Or that's the aims of the people who moderate that subreddit. Obviously, I look at it sometimes and I get some great stuff from there. But I'm talking about in pure terms of just letting people into the door. We haven't always been the best at that. And we just need to just humanize people just a little bit. And, we're the atheist community, okay? We're never not going to, like, be a little bit derisive or just a little bit, critical, taking people down. I get it. It's pretty much always going to be there. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be there. But what I am saying is we just need to have some more room for some other kinds of conversations to happen. Sometimes it's not about debunking people or ideas. It's about people's experiences and talking about it in ways that people can feel comfortable talking about it. So I wouldn't want anybody to call this show and feel like that they weren't comfortable talking to me. Because if that's the case, then I have failed in the mission of this show, and I would think many other content creators would feel the same way as well, especially you, Shannon, what you're doing, and I know, Andey, you'd probably feel the same way. We want to be open to having conversations with people, not because we want to take people down, but because I want people to see a different perspective and to have something they couldn't have before because the people in their life weren't willing to have conversations with them like we are.
I want to know how they got there as well. I want to know how they arrived at that point of view. And as we kind of talked about earlier as well, priorities. Like we might prioritize truth, but other people might want comfort. They might want to. Some people with mental health issues might be more interested in what makes them feel safe in the world than what's true. And I think there needs to be space for that as well. Even if we are talking about a specific community like an atheism community and so on. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that the same type of argument or position or presentation is going to compel everybody equally the same way that it compelled you. And that's just unilaterally not the case at all. And I find, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm misperceiving this, but I think a lot of people that, come out of religions sometimes, or, I encounter it a lot with people. It wasn't necessarily my personal experience, but they've suffered some sort of traumatic experience or harm, and when they see other people representing those ideas represent that harm to them too. So they have an emotional, visceral reaction to that person because they represent the ideas that harmed them.
Yes,
and it can be incredibly difficult to have productive dialogues from that place because you're reacting to your perceived potential future harm and re-experienced previous harm.
Yes. Because
it's manifested in the individual you're interacting with, even though they may not be that type of person, though the ideas that they're espousing were utilized to batter you.
Yes.
So you can be a little bit more oriented towards an attack, which is, understandable. But if you're worried about building communities and finding places that are safe, and orchestrating attacks will never create a safe space for anybody. It'll only work to other people more, and people being othered it tends to be what hurts people to begin with. So you unwittingly are helping to orchestrate an environment that perpetuates future harm instead of preventing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Creating a debunking video is not the same thing as talking to another human being,
Right.
And you can be right about something, but that doesn't mean you're convincing, I try to live by that and that understanding that, look, at the end of the day, I could say every single correct thing out there based on science, based on whatever, and that other person may not get what I'm saying, and I just have to accept that. And maybe I have to consider, what's my approach here? What's my goal in this conversation? Is my goal when I talk to every Christian to necessarily convert them to my side? Or do I want to build something else? Do I want to make some sort of other kind of connection and show them that say, hey, you can talk to me, and you don't have to be scared about what I have to say to you, despite what people may have told you. But anyway, great insights from both of you guys from calling it. Thanks so much, Shannon, for calling in to the show. I really appreciate it.
To me.
Of course. Of course.
People in the audience. Bye, guys.
We'll see you later. And if you watch the show and you haven't watched Shannon, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but you need to get out of it because Shannon is awesome and she makes great stuff. And I love her. She's awesome. She's really great. So, and she's been on this show, one of my more popular episodes, actually. Shannon being on this